Quite scary, yeah? Don't do that, guys.
Yeah.
Are you planning to buy a forever home but don't know how to get there? This is 99 Perspectives and we're going to guide you on the process of buying a condo here in Singapore. Hi everyone, I'm Eliani and welcome back to another episode of 99 Perspectives. So on today's episode, we're going to guide you through the process of buying a condo, be it resale or new launch. And you know, the process of purchasing a home can be quite nerve-wracking and it's also a tedious process with all the finances, viewings of show flats, etc. So don't worry, we have our content writer back here again, Farouk, to share with you more tips on the process of buying a condo.
Yeah, hi all, thanks for having me again.
Of course, welcome back, Farouk.
Yeah, so hello everyone, I'm Farouk. I'm one of the writers for 99.co, so I mainly cover show flat reviews on our portal. Okay, to start off the topic, I'm going to split them up into two different routes. So number one is new launch condos and the next one is resale condos.
But is the process very different for resale and new launch condos?
I think it's same but different.
Oh,
yeah, so there
okay.
are different things like different timelines, and there are also different things you need to take note of for different steps lah.
Okay, so Farouk, let's start with the process of buying a new launch.
Sure. So even before we begin, there is an infographic that I want to show you. So there are 8 different steps to buying a new launch condo, and this is also applicable for resale condos. So step 1 is to get your finances sorted. Step 2 is to shop around for the unit that you want to buy. Step 3, of course, is to visit the show flats or visit the actual unit if you're buying a resale. Step 4 is to book your flat. Step 5 is to hire a lawyer and finalize your loan. Step 6 is to sign the sale and purchase agreement. Step 7 is to start paying. Yeah, and last but not least, the best part.
Yes,
Step 8 is to collect your keys.
Alright, let's start with the first step, which is getting your finances sorted.
Okay, so without going too in-depth, here are some of the few things that you need to know. So number 1 is how much is your down payment going to be, how much CPF can be used, and what's the eligibility criteria of you purchasing the condo. Next thing, you have to also take note of some of the additional fees that will incur. Firstly is the stamp duty. So this is the buyer's stamp duty or the additional buyer's stamp duty if you're buying additional properties, or if you're a foreigner or PR. You can actually go to our site and use our stamp duty calculator to find that out. Yeah, so next is the TDSR, which is the total debt servicing ratio. So it's a cap on how much you can actually borrow from the bank. So currently the limit is 55%, but if you're unsure about it, you can actually go to our website and use our TDSR calculator. Then next is the cash over valuation or the COV. So this is when you buy a resale condo. Like we'll talk more about this later on. Yeah. Next is to also consider the home loan. So for condos, it usually be bank loan. Yeah. So you need to think about the loan to value ratio. Right now, the max loan that you can get for buying a condo is 75%. And you can also shop around for interest rates. Right now, the banks have just increased their interest rate. So it's good to like take note of which banks have the better rate. Yeah. And last but not least, the condo payment schedule for new condos.
There's also the in-principle approval, which is essentially knowing how much the bank is willing to loan to you and also knowing how much your monthly mortgage obligations are. It also gives you a good idea of how much you'll get when you apply for a loan later. But do take note that different banks offers different loans, so make sure you weigh your options before committing to one. At this point, you might have a shopping list of all the new launch that you are interested in purchasing. So the next step is the show flat viewing. We actually did like a video of tips for show flat tours, what to prep beforehand and what to look out for during the show flat tour. So if you are interested in that, you can click on the link here. Okay, so let's move on to the next step, which is
to book your flat.
Yeah, okay, so this is where all the paperwork starts, right?
Yeah,
the scary part.
That's right, El. So, but first let us rewind a bit to the show flat visit day. So when you're actually looking at the show flat and you're interested in buying a unit, right, you can actually fill up this form called the expression of interest or the EOI. So this is when you can actually give a blank check. So don't worry, I'm not asking you to give a blank check to just anyone. So
quite scary, yeah? Don't do that, guys.
Yeah. So just make sure that the developer's account is on it. So if you're actually going ahead with the purchase, then the check will be used. So this is cash only lah. So you can't use your CPF or you can't use any loans. Yeah. So expressing your interest is also good because on the launch day itself, it'll actually be your ballot number.
So what happens during ballot day?
Yeah. So this is like the most exciting part of the buying the condo lah. So of course you have to wait for your ballot number to be called when you're there. Make sure you have a few units of choice. So in case you don't get your number 1 choice, you actually have others to fall back on. So once you go through all the process and you already book your unit, you'll be issued a PDI, which is the property details information. So here's where you can see all the floor plans, all the units, all the rules and regulations, and what are the things that will be included in your unit. So make sure you read properly. Yeah, you need to read and agree to all the terms before actually signing on all the pages. Yeah, so very, very important, guys. At this point, you also get the option to purchase the OTP, which means congrats! You actually officially book your unit.
But how about the check that buyers gave? Like, you can actually use that to pay 5% of the booking fee, right?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that will actually be the booking fee. So if you already give the blank check, they will just put the amount there and then you more or less settle your 5% already.
Okay, then step 5 is to actually finalize your loan and get your lawyer's help, right?
Yes, so now you can actually approach your bank with the OTP and finalize your loan. So once that's done, they'll give you a letter of offer. So a tip is to do this ASAP because they might take some time to approve. And then next, you need to get a lawyer to help you with the conveyancing. So what this means is that it's a legal process of transferring property from one owner to another. The lawyer will also help you with the payment timelines so you know when to pay. Yeah.
But is it actually mandatory to get a lawyer, or can you actually do all this yourself?
Yes, it's mandatory to get a lawyer because like for legal documents to be approved by the Singapore Land Authority, the SLA, right, they have to be signed in the presence of lawyers. Both the buyer and the seller's lawyers need to be there.
But how much would that cost to engaging a lawyer?
Yeah, usually it's additional cost So I would say about 2.5k to 5k, around there, the range.
Alright, and then the next step is step 6, which is signing the sales and purchase agreement.
Yep, so usually this comes 2 weeks after the OTP. So the developer will be the one sending you this and you have 3 weeks to sign it.
And if you take a look at the screen right now, we're actually showing you the progressive payments calculator on our portal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, correct. So you also need to pay the BSD or the ABSD if applicable within 2 weeks of signing the sales and purchase agreement. On top of that, you also have to pay a 15% exercise fee, which is the remainder of your down payment.
More payments to be made, huh?
Yeah.
A lot more.
So if you think about it, it's 5 plus 15% equals to 20%, which is the total down payment for your whole home purchase. So that's to be paid within 8 weeks of the OTP.
And you know guys, Farouk keeps saying OTP, right? It's not one-time password. Take note.
Yeah, it's an option to purchase, guys. Yeah, so you can actually use cash or CPF for these 2 payments.
Alright, then the second last step is step 7. This is where you start paying every few months, right?
Yes, now the complicated part is over.
Yay! Finally!
But the payment is not done yet.
There's more payments to be made.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Okay,
so
what is it?
the payment will continue every few months whenever the developer hits certain milestones in the construction. Yeah, so this usually works out to about 5 to 10% of the purchase price every few months or so until around the TOP, which is a temporary occupation permit.
But what are some of these milestones though?
Yeah, so it's stuff like foundation work 10%, reinforced concrete work another 10%, roofing 5%, other things like door frames, wiring, it will all add up. So when the project actually receives its TOP, you will need to pay another 25%. Yeah, I would say this is the biggest payment.
But based on the new launches nowadays, right, how long does it take to TOP usually?
I think these days it will usually take about 4 years, at least 4 years. Some are even like 5, 6 years. So usually after TOP, this is when residents can collect their keys, even when the development is not completed. And finally, the last 15% of payments is paid after the development gets the CSC.
What is a CSC?
Yeah, so that's the Certificate of Statutory Completion, which is also the legal completion date. So this is when the development is fully completed.
Actually, Farouk, it sounds like there's so many stages, right? But is there a way that we can make this easier?
Yeah, don't worry if you can't keep track of all the payments because the lawyers will actually send you the reminders to pay on time. Or you can actually use the 99.co's progressive payment calculator, so it will tell you what you have to pay at each stage. Yeah.
Alright, so that's it for the new launch condos. Let's move on to resale.
Yes, but the good news is for resale it's less complicated and also faster.
I think one main difference here is you can actually negotiate the price of the unit that you're interested in, right? And if you're curious to know the value of your unit, you can check out our 99.co property value tool.
Yeah, so guys, make sure you check it so that you won't be shortchanged.
So essentially the process of buying a resale and a new launch condo is roughly the same, right? But here are some things that you have to take note of.
Yeah, I think the first thing is the booking fee and the option fee. So this is the first 5% of the payment. So instead of paying 5% first like you did for the new launch condo, you only pay a 1% deposit. So that's like the booking fee to actually get the OTP from the seller, which is the option to purchase. It's also advisable to start hiring a lawyer before all this happens. Yeah, so that you can just quicken the process a little. After signing the OTP, within 14 days, you actually have to pay the remaining 4%, of the down payment. So altogether, the first 5% can be in cash or check lah.
Okay, how about the process of signing the sales and purchase agreement? Is there anything different there?
Actually, for this one, it's more or less the same as a new launch condo. So after 2 weeks of signing the sales and purchase agreement, here's where you also need to pay your BSD and your ABSD if applicable. So this can be done using cash or CPF. And so one key difference between resale and new launch condo is that resale condos, you might have to pay the COV, which is cash over valuation. So this is when you've negotiated a price that is above the valuation of the unit. Because I mean, sometimes you just want that unit so badly,
Correct.
So you don't mind paying the COV. And this is cash over valuation, so of course...
Pay in cash.
Yes. Yeah, so you can actually pay this at least 3 to 7 days before the completion of sale, which is within 8 to 12 weeks of exercising the OTP. So that's when you actually complete the sale and purchase of the condo lah. So after you complete the sale, you have to pay the remaining 20% down payment using cash or CPF. So after all this is done, you can finally start paying your monthly mortgage payments, which is the remaining 75% of the cost lah. So I think the main difference between resale and new launch condo is that for resale, you start paying your monthly mortgage payments earlier, unlike after the TOP for new launch lah, which could take 4 years or more. Yeah, depending on when your development actually TOPs lah. Yeah, so if you're not sure about all this, you can actually use our mortgage calculator to find out how much you are supposed to pay every month.
Alright, so that's the process of buying a condo here in Singapore. So maybe Farouk, you want to do like a summary of new launch versus resale condos. So what are the pros and cons? What exactly is the perks of a new launch condo then?
So I think the number one thing is that sometimes you get discounts from developers. Sometimes they'll give you vouchers or early bird discounts. And secondly, some of them have stamp duty reimbursements. So you know that like takes the weight off what you have to pay. Then thirdly, of course, it's a new launch condo, right? So everything is brand new. And if you are getting a 99-year lease condo, then it's also a fresh new tenure lah. So you don't have to worry so much about the decaying lease and stuff like that. Yeah. But the only thing that you have to take note of is that you have to wait at least 4 years or more before your house is actually completed. But I think one good thing here is that you can actually save up before you actually do your monthly payments lah. Yeah, so I think that's great. Yeah.
So for resale condos, the perks are obviously you are able to inspect the condition of the unit before making a decision whether, you know, like, is it in good condition or like, you know, stuff like that. There's also more room for price negotiation. Of course, when you buy a resale condo, you are always ready to like almost move in, and it's also typically larger since it was built in the past. Okay, so that sums up everything. If you guys have any questions or want us to deep dive in any of this information, feel free to comment down below. Alright, thank you so much, Farouk, for being here again.
Thanks for having me. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye!
Bye.